What if the crushing silence you're drowning in isn't a curse, but the universe's boldest move to awaken your truest self, guided by Carl Jung's revolutionary insights? Stick with me for the next few minutes, because I'm revealing 5 shocking signs your isolation is your greatest gift. Loneliness can feel like a heavy burden, but Carl Jung, the visionary psychologist, saw it as a sacred space for self-discovery. In this video, we'll explore how isolation, far from being a failure, is a powerful catalyst for transformation, drawing from Carl Jung's timeless wisdom to help you thrive in solitude. Get ready to dive into 5 unmistakable signs that your isolation has a purpose, plus practical steps to embrace it. From facing your inner shadows to rediscovering your authentic voice, this journey will redefine who you are. Hit play, and let's unlock your potential together. The universe doesn't make mistakes, especially when it isolates you. That gnawing sense of being alone, that quiet ache that keeps you up at night, might feel like a glitch in the fabric of life, but what if it's not? What if it's a deliberate, cosmic nudge, a signal that something profound is waiting to unfold within you? Carl Jung, the pioneering psychologist whose ideas reshaped our understanding of the mind, believed that isolation isn't a punishment or a sign of failure. It's a sacred invitation, a call to step into the unknown, to shed the noise of the world, and to begin the most transformative chapter of your life. Let's unpack this idea and discover how your solitude might be the key to unlocking your truest self. Picture this. You're scrolling through social media, seeing friends laughing at gatherings, couples sharing milestones, and colleagues thriving in their careers while you sit in silence, disconnected, wondering why life feels so different for you. It's easy to spiral into despair, to convince yourself you've been left behind. But Carl Jung saw it differently. He argued that those who are drawn into solitude often carry a deeper purpose, one that requires them to walk a path less traveled. Think of it like a retreat orchestrated by the universe itself, not to abandon you, but to prepare you for something greater. Take a moment to consider some of the most influential figures in history. The Buddha didn't find enlightenment surrounded by a bustling crowd. He sat alone beneath the Bodhi tree, wrestling with his inner demons until clarity emerged. Jesus wandered the desert for 40 days, fasting and reflecting, emerging with a renewed sense of mission. And Carl Jung himself, after a personal crisis, he withdrew into a period of intense solitude, documenting his inner journey in the Red Book, a masterpiece of psychological and spiritual awakening. These weren't passive breaks, they were active confrontations with the self. Fueled by isolation, the common thread: greatness wasn't born in the chaos of connection. It was forged in the quiet crucible of being alone. Now, let's bring this closer to home. Imagine Sarah, a 32-year-old graphic designer from Seattle. For years, she thrived in a vibrant social circle, her calendar packed with events and her inbox buzzing with messages. But after a sudden layoff, her world shrank. Friends drifted away, invitations stopped coming, and she found herself alone in her small apartment, staring at a blank wall. At first, the silence was unbearable. Every tick of the clock felt like a judgment. But as weeks turned into months, something shifted. With no distractions, Sarah began sketching again, revisiting a childhood passion she'd abandoned for a practical career. Those lonely hours weren't a dead end. They were the spark that reignited her creativity, leading her to launch a successful freelance business. Her isolation wasn't a curse, it was a catalyst. Carl Jung would say, "This isn't a coincidence." He believed that moments of deep aloneness are initiations portals into a deeper understanding of who you are. Society trains us to fear solitude, to see it as a red flag that something's wrong. Why me, we ask, assuming we've been singled out for rejection. But what if the universe is singling you out for a reason? What if it's clearing the stage so you can hear your own voice? Unmuted by the chatter of others, this perspective flips the script. Isolation isn't life turning away from you. It's life turning you toward yourself. Let's break this down with the first sign that your isolation has a purpose. The urge to question your past. When you're alone, your mind naturally drifts to memories, some joyful, others painful. That breakup you thought you'd moved on from. That job you hated, but stayed in for security. Those words from a parent that still sting. In the noise of daily life, these thoughts are easy to ignore, buried under deadlines and small talk. But in solitude, they rise to the surface, demanding attention. Carl Jung saw this as a gift. Those questions, why did I stay so long, what was I afraid of, are the first steps towards self-awareness. They're not there to haunt you. They're there to heal you. Consider Mark, a 45-year-old teacher from Chicago. After a divorce, he moved to a quiet suburb, cutting ties with his old social circle. The loneliness was suffocating at first. He filled his days with television and endless scrolling. But one night, unable to sleep, he started writing about his marriage. The words poured out regrets, unspoken resentments, and a realization that he'd lost himself in the relationship. That solitary reflection didn't just ease his pain, it showed him what he needed to change. Months later, he began mentoring students with the same empathy he'd rediscovered in himself. His isolation became a teacher, not a tormentor. The second sign is a growing trust in your intuition. When the external world fades, you're left with your inner voice, subtle at first, then insistent. Carl Jung called this the voice of the unconscious, a reservoir of wisdom that speaks through feelings, dreams, and gut instincts. In solitude, you're forced to listen. Maybe you've always felt drawn to write, to travel, to help others, but life's noise drowned it out. Now, alone, those urges feel louder, more urgent. This isn't random. It's your deeper self breaking through. Take Lisa, a 28-year-old nurse from Miami. After a falling out with her co-workers, she spent months avoiding social plans, retreating to her apartment. At first, she felt lost. But one night, a dream about her grandmother, a healer in her family, stirred something. She began researching herbal remedies, a passion she'd ignored. That solitary time didn't just heal her loneliness, it launched a side business selling natural health products. Her intuition, sharpened by isolation, guided her to a new path. So, how do you recognize these signs? Start by pausing. When a memory surfaces, or an instinct tugs at you, don't push it away. Write it down. Sit with it. Ask what it's teaching you. This isn't about forcing answers, it's about opening the door. Carl Jung believed that the unconscious reveals itself when we stop running. Your isolation is that pause, that sacred space where the universe is saying, look closer, there's more to you than you know. But here's the catch. Most people miss this invitation. They see solitude as a void to fill scrolling, partying, or diving into new relationships to escape the quiet. Carl Jung warned against this. The more you resist, the more it controls you. The key is to lean in, to see it as a season of preparation. Think of it like a winter for your soul on the surface. It looks barren, but beneath, roots are growing, setting the stage for a spring you can't yet imagine. This chapter of your life isn't a mistake, it's a mirror. And in that mirror, you'll find the first glimmers of your authentic self. So, the next time you feel alone, don't despair. Ask yourself, What is the universe inviting me to see? What part of me is ready to awaken? Because the answer might just change everything. Imagine standing at the edge of a dark forest, the kind that whispers with unseen secrets. The air feels heavy, and every step forward sends a shiver down your spine. That's what facing your inner shadows feels like. Terrifying, uncertain, yet strangely magnetic. Carl Jung believed that your season of isolation isn't just a pause. It's a battleground where you confront the hidden parts of yourself in a process he called individuation. This isn't about becoming perfect. It's about becoming whole, embracing every fragment of who you are, even the ones you've buried deep. Ready to step into that forest? Let's explore how solitude becomes the arena where your truest self is forged. When the world falls silent, you're left with no escape from your own mind. The distractions, endless notifications, casual chats, the hum of daily life vanish, and what remains is raw, unfiltered you. Carl Jung saw this as the perfect storm for shadow work. The courageous act of facing the parts of yourself you've ignored or rejected. The shadow isn't some evil twin. It's the collection of traits, emotions, and memories you've pushed aside, anger you've suppressed, fears you've hidden, regrets you've buried. In Solitude, these shadows don't stay quiet. They rise like ghosts, demanding your attention. And that's where the real transformation begins. Think of it like cleaning out an attic you've avoided for years. At first, the clutter feels overwhelming: old letters, broken toys, dusty memories you'd rather forget. But as you sort through it, you find treasures: a childhood drawing that sparks joy, a note from a lost friend that stirs forgiveness. Your shadow is similar. It holds pain, yes, but also wisdom. Carl Jung argued that integrating these hidden parts rather than denying them is the key to wholeness and solitude. It's the space where this integration happens, free from the judgments and expectations of others. Let's meet James, a 39-year-old accountant from Denver. For years, he prided himself on being the rock of his family, calm, reliable, always in control. But after a promotion left him isolated from his team, he found himself alone with his thoughts. The silence unearthed a rage he didn't know. He carried resentment toward his father for pushing him into a career he never wanted. At first, he fought it, drowning the feeling in work and whiskey. But one night, unable to escape, he sat with it. He wrote letters he never sent, cried for the first time in decades, and faced the truth. He'd built his life around pleasing others, not himself. That solitary confrontation didn't break him, it rebuilt him. He started exploring photography, a passion his father had dismissed, and found a peace he'd never known. His shadow became his guide. The first step in this process is recognizing the signs. When you're alone, do you feel a surge of unexplained anger, a sadness that creeps in without warning, maybe guilt over a choice you can't undo? These aren't random, they're your shadow knocking. Carl Jung believed the unconscious speaks loudest in silence, revealing itself through emotions, dreams, or sudden insights. For example, you might dream of a figure from your past, someone you've hurt or who hurt you, replaying a moment you've avoided. Or you might feel an urge to scream at a situation you've silently endured. These are clues, not curses. They're invitations to dig deeper. Now, consider Emily, a 25-year-old barista from Austin. After a falling out with her best friend, she withdrew from her social circle, spending nights alone in her apartment. The quiet brought up memories of being bullied in high school, shame she'd buried under a cheerful facade. At first, she tried to distract herself with Netflix, but the feelings persisted. One evening, she grabbed a journal and let it all out: the hurt, the self-doubt, the anger. As she wrote, she realized she'd been overcompensating, seeking approval to mask that old wound. That solitary act of facing her shadow didn't just heal the past. It empowered her to set boundaries and pursue a writing course she'd always dreamed of. Her isolation became the forge where her strength was shaped. So, how do you face this darkness? It starts with a simple, brave act. Sit with it. Carl Jung suggested practical tools like journaling or meditation to engage with your unconscious. Grab a notebook and write whatever comes. Don't judge. Don't censor. If a memory stings, describe it. If a feeling overwhelms, name it. This isn't about fixing yourself. It's about meeting yourself. Another technique is dream analysis. Keep a pad by your bed and jot down dreams as soon as you wake. Those strange images might hold keys to your shadow. The goal isn't to conquer these feelings, but to listen. To ask, what are you teaching me? This process isn't comfortable. In fact, it can feel like drowning. When you face your shadow, you might uncover anger you didn't know you held, maybe toward a boss who undermined you or a partner who betrayed you. You might face sadness over lost opportunities or guilt over words you can't take back. For many, this is where they turn back, rushing to fill the silence with noise parties, scrolling, new relationships. But Carl Jung warned that running only delays the inevitable. The shadow doesn't disappear, it waits. And the longer you avoid it, the louder it becomes. Take David, a 50-year-old mechanic from Portland. After his wife passed, he isolated himself, avoiding friends and family. The solitude brought up guilt over arguments they'd had, a regret that gnawed at him. He tried to numb it with beer and late-night television, but the feelings grew. One day, desperate, he joined a grief support group, and there, in the quiet of sharing, he faced his shadow. He forgave himself. Not with words, but with action, building a bench in her memory. That solitary struggle, met head-on, turned his pain into purpose. His isolation became a crucible, refining him into someone stronger. The beauty of this process lies in its universality. Your shadow isn't unique to you, it's human. Carl Jung saw it as a universal part of the psyche, shaped by culture, family, and personal experience. That anger you feel, it might echo a societal expectation to stay silent. That guilt, it might stem from a family rule you internalized. In Solitude, these layers peel away, revealing the raw you beneath. And here's the twist: the more you integrate your shadow, the less power it has over you. Anger becomes energy, sadness becomes empathy, guilt becomes growth. But why does this matter? Because avoiding your shadow keeps you fragmented. You might live as the happy friend, the reliable worker, or the perfect parent roles you've adopted to fit in. Yet, deep down, you feel hollow, disconnected from your authentic self. Carl Jung called this the persona, the mask you wear for the world. Solitude strips it away, forcing you to confront who you are without the applause. It's painful, yes, but it's also liberating. When you accept your shadow, your impatience, your jealousy, your fears, you stop fighting yourself. You start becoming whole. Let's test this with a practical step. Next time you feel that shadow rising, pause it, breathe deeply for a minute. Then ask, what part of me is this? Maybe it's anger at a friend who ghosted you. Reflect on why it hurts. Maybe it's fear of failure. Trace it back to a moment it took root. Don't rush to fix it. Just observe. This practice, simple as it sounds, builds the muscle of self-awareness. Over time, you'll notice patterns, triggers, and most importantly, strengths you didn't know you had. Carl Jung believed this confrontation is essential because true growth rarely happens in comfort. You don't evolve while binge-watching shows or chasing likes. You evolve when you're alone. When the silence forces you to listen, this is the alchemy of individuation, turning the lead of your shadow into the gold of self-understanding. And solitude is the alchemist's lab, where the transformation unfolds. But here's the challenge: most people don't make it through. They see the shadow and run, mistaking it for weakness. They fill the silence with noise, avoiding the discomfort, and miss the treasure buried within. Carl Jung's warning is clear: don't build your identity around pain. Use it as a teacher, then let it go. The more you resist, the more it controls you. But when you lean in, when you sit with the anger, the sadness, the regret, you begin to hear a new voice, not the one shaped by others, but the one that's been waiting, patient and powerful, inside you. So, as you navigate your isolation, see it as a sacred arena. Your shadows aren't enemies, they're allies, guiding you toward wholeness. The next time that darkness rises, don't turn away. Ask what it's revealing, because in that quiet confrontation, you're not just surviving, you're becoming. You've walked through the fire of solitude, faced the shadows that once haunted you, and emerged with a clarity that feels both foreign and familiar. But what happens next? Carl Jung knew that the journey of individuation, becoming your authentic self, doesn't end in isolation. It's only half the battle. The real test begins when you step back into the world, carrying the wisdom you've gained like a quiet flame. This is the phase of reintegration, where the inner transformation you fought for meets the chaos of everyday life. Are you ready to bring your new self into the light? Let's dive into how solitude's lessons can reshape your relationships, choices, and purpose, and why this return is your ultimate victory. Picture this: after months of solitude, you're not the same person who walked into that quiet space. The masks you wore, the people pleaser, the always busy friend, the perfect employee, have cracked, revealing a raw, unfiltered you. Carl Jung called this the shedding of the persona, the false self shaped by others' expectations. But stepping back into the world with this new identity isn't seamless. Old habits, old relationships, and old pressures might pull you back, tempting you to slip into those familiar roles. The challenge: to stay true to yourself while navigating a world that might not recognize the changed you. This is where the strength forged in solitude becomes your superpower. Let's start with relationships. Solitude teaches you what truly matters. When you've sat with your shadow, you see which connections were built on fear, obligation, or approval seeking. Maybe you realize that friend who always drained your energy wasn't a supporter, but a mirror of your own insecurities. Or that partner you clung to out of loneliness no longer aligns with your values. Reintegration means setting boundaries not out of spite, but out of self-respect. It's about choosing relationships that reflect your authentic self, not the one you performed for others. Meet Rachel, a 34-year-old marketer from Boston. After a burnout forced her into solitude, she spent months reflecting on her life. The quiet revealed how she'd stayed in a toxic friendship, fearing abandonment if she let go. Facing that truth, she ended the relationship. Despite the guilt, when she reintegrated, she sought out a community of creatives who valued her ideas, not her compliance. That shift didn't just heal her, it opened doors to collaborations that fueled her career. Her solitude gave her the courage to say no, and the wisdom to say yes to what served her growth. The same principle applies to your choices. Solitude strips away the noise, letting you hear your deeper desires. That job you tolerated for stability, it might feel hollow now. Those hobbies you chased for validation, they might seem meaningless. Reintegration is about aligning your actions with your truth, pursuing what ignites your soul, not just what pays the bills. This doesn't mean quitting overnight. It's about small, intentional steps toward a life that feels authentic. Consider Tom, a 47-year-old engineer from San Francisco. After a health scare, he retreated into solitude. Away from his high-pressure job, the silence showed him he'd sacrificed his love for woodworking for corporate success. When he returned, he didn't leave his career immediately, but he started carving in his garage each evening. That quiet passion grew into a side business, bringing him joy his paycheck never could. His reintegration wasn't a rebellion, it was a reclamation of his essence, built on the foundation of solitude. But here's the catch. Reintegration can feel disorienting. People might notice your change and react, some with support, others with resistance, trying to pull you back to who you were. You might feel like a stranger in your own life, craving depth where there was once surface. Carl Jung understood this tension. He believed that true individuation requires bringing your inner truth into the external world, not just keeping it as a private epiphany. This is where your solitude strength shines. You've learned to stand beside yourself, and that loyalty becomes unshakable. Let's explore the first sign of successful reintegration: intentional living. After solitude, you move with purpose. You speak less, but with more meaning, choosing words that align with your values. You say no to draining commitments, not out of defensiveness, but because your boundaries are sacred. This shift isn't loud, it's a quiet power. Felt in your presence, people notice it, even if they can't name it. It's the calm you carry, born from facing your shadows. Take Maya, a 29-year-old teacher from Atlanta. After a breakup, she spent months alone, confronting her tendency to overgive. When she returned, she stopped saying yes to every request, focusing instead on her students and her poetry. Colleagues remarked on her newfound confidence. Students thrived under her focused care. Her solitude taught her presence, and that presence became her gift to others. The second sign is authentic connections. You attract relationships that mirror your growth, no longer desperative for attention. You seek mutual respect and alignment. This might mean losing some ties, but the ones that remain or form anew are deeper, more real. Your solitude has taught you to validate yourself, so you no longer chase approval. Think of Carlos, a 38-year-old chef from New York. After a business failure, he isolated himself, reflecting on his people-pleasing habits. When he reintegrated, he let go of clients who undervalued his work and built a team that shared his passion. His solitude forged a self-worth that attracted loyal partners, turning his restaurant into a success. His relationships now reflect his truth, not his fear. The third sign is resilience. When challenges arise, and they will, you face them differently. Rejection stings less. Failure feels like feedback, not a verdict. Solitude has shown you how to return to yourself, a skill that steadies you in storms. This resilience isn't arrogance, it's a quiet, rooted strength, earned through fire. Meet Priya, a 42-year-old artist from Los Angeles. After a gallery rejection, she withdrew, using solitude to process her disappointment. When she returned, she kept creating, undeterred by setbacks. That inner stability led to a solo exhibit that sold out. Her solitude turned pain into perseverance. So, how do you navigate this reintegration? Start with small acts of authenticity. Test a boundary, say no to a draining task. Pursue a passion, even for an hour. Reflect daily. Does this align with who I am? These steps build momentum, turning your inner growth into outer reality. Carl Jung emphasized that transformation must be lived, not just felt. Your solitude's lessons are meant to shape your world. But not everyone makes it this far. Many resist reintegration, clinging to old identities out of fear. They return to the noise, abandoning their truth for comfort. Carl Jung's insight is a lifeline you don't owe the world, the old you. Your growth is real, and it matters. Show up authentically, not apologetically. The beauty of this phase is its ripple effect. Your presence becomes a gift. Others sense your calm, your depth, and it invites them to pause, to reflect without trying. You become a mirror, showing them their own potential. This is solitude's ultimate alchemy, turning personal healing into collective inspiration. As you move forward, return to solitude, often not out of sadness, but reverence. It's your sanctuary, a place to recalibrate when the world's noise creeps back. Your journey isn't finished, it's evolving. And with each step, you carry the wisdom of fire, a strength no one can dim. You've journeyed through the fire of solitude, faced your shadows with courage, and emerged as a force of light, a version of yourself so authentic, so unshakable. It radiates from within. Carl Jung's wisdom has shown us that isolation isn't a dead end. It's a sacred forge where your truest self is reborn. You've unlocked a strength no crowd can dim, a peace no noise can shatter, and a purpose that burns brighter with every step. This isn't just the end of a chapter, it's the beginning of a revolution within you. So, tell me, which part of this solitude journey hit you the hardest? Did you find your shadow? Rediscover a buried dream? Share your story in the comments below. I'm dying to hear how you're turning your isolation into power. Don't let this fire fade. Subscribe to Jung Psyche Hub now. Hit that bell icon and join a community hungry for growth. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it, because your transformation could light their way too. Let's keep awakening together. See you in the next video.